to another episode of Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. This episode is a tribute to Ayamawa and his dedicated team of volunteers, donors, subscribers, and also to the good people of the African world and around the world, other people who've came together to support Marwa in this transformation that he has accomplished. This story is a story of hope. It's a story of aspiration. It's a story of how we can help to pull each other together, how we can pull together to help those less fortunate than some of us are. So my family, let's get into this story. It is a remarkable story that I think we all can learn something from. In this story, we learn of a young man. This story began, and I must give respect and tribute to Ayamawa for pulling this off, for bringing hope to a very terrible situation. He have brought this family from the brinks of absolute poverty to a symbol of hope in their community, and should be a symbol of hope across Kenya and to the global African family. This is an example of what you can do when you use what is available to you, use the technology, use the network, galvanize your people to help the less fortunate. This is a shining example, and that is why I'm bringing it to you, my family. And it started with that young man in the middle there, Brian. He is the star of the show, but Marwa is the enabler in all of this. So as we move on, my family, we're going to show you. This house on the left-hand side here was the home of Brian, a 14-year-old. This house was actually crumbling. It had holes and rats, and it was terrible. It was in a terrible condition. It was complete despair, and Marwa and his team and the global community came together and transformed the lives of this story. Now, I should give you some background to this story. This story began about a month ago, maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, with Brian, a 14-year-old boy, living in absolute poverty. Very little hope, very little prospect of making it. And Brian was a young hustler. He tried to find any way to survive. He was living from pure instinct to be able to feed himself, take care of himself, and he was an orphan. He had no mother, he had no father. His mother died when he was about 1 month old or so, and he was being raised by his grandmother. But Brian let loose to grow himself and to depend on his wits to survive. And his journey of trying to survive led him to Ayamawa place. And being at Ayamawa place, Ayamawa is the kind of individual who would take somebody like Brian and allow them to come there and eat and mingle, because Yamawa has a big mansion in that community. The biggest, we call it now, building, the biggest structure, the biggest house, home, villa, whatever you want to call it. Ayamawa is that person who have succeeded, who have living very well, but he didn't close his door to the youth in the community. The children, them are always welcome. And as a result, Brian became welcome. But Brian there, he saw opportunities, and Brian began to take things and steal things, and particularly a mobile phone, anything he can get his hand on, Brian would try to steal it. But unbeknownst to Brian, Marwa had CCTV installed in his home, and Brian was caught stealing someone's phone, and they rounded him up, they brought him to Marwa, and when Marwa went to visit this young man, Marwa began to, when they brought him, and Marwa just wanted to know about it. Why are you stealing? What's happening to you? Who are your parents? Where you come from? And then they begin to discover the life of Brian, and Marwa was deeply touched. Marwa brought his camera with him, and he brought the global family on this journey to discover who was Brian. When we went to Brian's house, what Marwa discovered was a sad story. When Marwa discovered that Brian had no mother, no father, he was an orphan. And as you can see in this photo here, that's his grandmother there, and that's Brian. Over there in the black t-shirt is Ayamawa right-hand man. Everybody, they're all sitting down and listening to the story of Brian and begin to learn about him and begin to learn this is the house that Brian is living in. It's a mud house. As you can see, the muds are plastered around wood, and on the floor was dirt, and the bed was dirty, was very desolate, as you can see. So Marwa began to discover that this was an abandoned youth that was trapped in poverty. This is an absolute poverty case where something has to be done, because if not, the future of Brian will be very bleak. And the community decided, let's fix up Brian. They asked Brian, are you going to school? What's going on with you? So Marvel began to explore the life of this young man and begin to discover that this young man is in need of serious help. He was living in a dilapidated condition. He was rat infested. It was holes in the wall. It was crumbling. It was dirt floor, and he was breathing and living in that little dwelling. And his grandmother lived right next door. And this is the outside wall of that house that Brian was living in. And Mawa take on this case and says, no, we have to do something. Instead of punish this young man, let's help this young man. And they begin a journey of helping. And initially they thought about, let's just fix up the house. Let us put some cement and clean it up and do up the floor and get him some clothes, fix him up, clean him up, and get him into school. That was the initial plan. But then Marwa began to talk to the grandparents, find out what grandmother wanted. And he sat down with grandma to find out what does grandma want. And he listened to grandma's story, and this is where grandma lived in. Right next door to Brian, that's the room that grandma lived in. It was a crumbling mud house she was living in. And it was in a dilapidated state. It was bad condition. So along this story now, they asked grandma what did she wanted. Grandma said she wanted a home. Grandma said she wanted a house. And Ma was like, a house? Mara said to her, I cannot promise you anything, but let's take a look. Where would you want a house to be built? Same time, on the spot. Mara asked her, where is your land? Where would you want a home to build? And Grandma took Mara and pointed him to where she wanted him to build a house for her. So he said, we'll look into it. Anyway, the first priority was to clean up Brian, get him school clothes, get him school shoes, get him fixed up, get him ready for school, got to register him. And Mara global community of subscribers, of viewers and donors, they all came together and sent money down to buy Brian everything that he needed for school. They went to town, they went shopping, and they got everything. Now, I learned a lot from watching these documentaries, because in these cases, we learn that when you go to a boarding school, you have to bring your mattress, you have to bring your toothbrush, your toothpaste, your shoes. So they went to town and they got him everything he needed. And they brought it to grandma and laid it all out and says, listen, we want to get Brian into school. And everything was laid out, getting him ready for school. And then Marwa was still thinking about what grandma wanted. Grandma wanted a house. And Marwa turned to his viewers and asked them, do you all want to help grandma build a house? And it was affirmation. Yes, the community, the global family came together, the African family, everybody rally around Marwa and said, let's build grandma a house. Let's transform the lives of these people. Let's give them dignity. Let's restore their hope. And Marwa did just that. And he assembled a dedicated team of skilled workers and volunteers who work hard, tirelessly to turn the dreams of grandma into reality. And along with the global supporters, the generous viewers and subscribers worldwide, they open up their hearts and their wallet and they poured into this community. They poured into Brian, they poured into Grandma, and they poured into the house, and they begin to transform these people. A smile on Grandmother's face. I tell you what, when we first meet Grandma, she had a permanent screw on her face, a permanent frown that everybody was saying, does Grandma even smile? Do she even appreciate anything? But as our lives begin to change, Grandma began to light up. Grandma began to smile, and everybody became so impressed and so pleased. And the work continued. The workers then came in, and Mawa demonstrated that he is indeed the commando. He was able to be a conduit to channel the energy of the subscribers, the donors, and all those generous people around the world who poured funds and money into the project. And Mawa, you being a man of integrity, was able to galvanize the community in a way that I probably have never been seen before in that community. And he got skilled people and volunteers, and they went to work. And Mawa was insisting on getting it done fast, getting it done to a high standard, and no joke around. Get the best deal, the best value for the money he was getting from the subscribers. And the people, I've never seen a house built so fast. And Mawa did it. He pulled it off. He got the house on the billing. He got the people in working all across the compound. It was just work taking place. It was plumbing. It was electrician. It was roofing. It was bricklayers. It was carpenters. Everyone. He had teams. Tiles was being laid. He was working like he was supervising and coordinating with so many individuals and team to pull this off. This was a great example of leadership within your community. And when people unite with a shared purpose, miracles happen. The transformation began with one person's vision, but became reality through the collective power of a passionate community. And this is a classic example. This is how we as African people can come together and make a difference. Ayama was here. You see him here with Grandma, with Brian, and with Daniel is Brian's cousin, and also Grandma grandson. And he became the guardian. Mawa appointed him the guardian of Brian to say, listen, we going to keep track. You're responsible for Brian. I'm going to make sure you get all the resources you need to take care of Brian. And so shall it be. And it was, and he stood up, and Mawa continued. And when Mawa began to build it, the people around became astonished. It was an amazing feat, because no one expected in their wildest imagination that Mawa would have came and transformed the lives of these people from a mud house made of mud and dirt into such a magnificent mansion. And it just blew everybody's mind. But the work continued. The people around him, they rally around Mawa. This is Nikabuda, one of the builders from the very beginning. Very skilled craftsman and very devoted. And also he volunteered his service to help build this dream for these people. And it was amazing. And the donation poured in. The tiles was donated. He sent money to buy these things and to pull the community together. And all these people that you see working here were being paid. They paid for their labor. They was paid for their contribution. And also, Mawa enabled them to have a income after the project. So most of them, if not all of them, became YouTubers and begin to establish themselves as a YouTuber. And some of them already had channel, and Mawa gave them the boost. Mawa shared his subscribers with them, and many of them to become monetized and now to have a regular income that they never had before. Many of them had YouTube channel that was struggling, didn't see no monetization, wasn't getting no views, but through the power of the intervention of this story, All of them got a boost to their channel, and many of them became monetized and are doing great now. And they pulled together, sorry, as a community. And I tell you, my friend, my family, I was so impressed with how the community pulled together to build this house. And I think within 3 weeks, this house was built. It's Daniel Moita. Still having difficulty pronouncing some of the names. Daniel Moita. He is the grandson of the grandmother and also the cousin to Brian. He was the accountant of the project. He kept track of all of the funds, all of the spending, the expenditure, the income coming in, where the money was going. So he was the official accountant of the project. And Mawa pushed him to the limit. And he also volunteered his time. And his channel, he had also got a YouTube channel called It's Daniel Moita. And he was able to, I think, got over 8,000 subscribers within a couple of days. That was the power of the Mawa effect. And so his future will be bright. So Mawa tell him, so you don't worry. You just work. You just follow my instruction. You'll be okay. Then there was the amazing Dorina, sister to Mayugno. Mayugno is a very fascinating young man, very exciting, very colorful, very jovial young man, but passionate, but very helpful. He was the one that actually drew the architecture for this house, because when they came, this was a land with nothing but trees, and I think it was a lot of corn and corn, or they call it maize, and it was nothing but trees and maize and a few vegetables. And he drew the plan. And it was a tree that was right there, and they drew the plan right around the tree. And eventually they had to remove the tree and build the house into the mansion that it is today. But Mayugno was a very significant part, especially in the foundational stage of this house. So I have to give props to Mayugno for his contribution. His sister Dorina, she is the fashion guru in the community. So she came and she measured grandma and able to get grandma the dress, and she was able to brought a smile on grandma's face. She's very jovial as well. She's very helpful, very supportive. She keep an eye on grandma through the whole process and walk her through, along with another beautiful sister named Priska Sagati. That is her channel as well. Oh, Dorina got a channel. I think it's Dorina Elisha. That is her channel. And this is Priska Sagati. She very supportive of grandma. When grandma was brought to get her manicured and her facial, her hair done, and new clothes, Priska was one of the women, along with Mara wife, that took her to the spa, took her to get the massage, get her treated, get her cleaned up, get her put a smile on her face, restoring her dignity step by step. She was a part of that process, and I have to give her big props for that. We needed a woman to hold grandma's hand and guide her through this process and lift her through from the despair into hope. And Prescott became that woman who my spirit take to her. I appreciate what she's done and how she stood by grandma and guide her step by step. This is a remarkable story of how people help people. There was Mike Kizzo as well. He was very helpful. Work one day, volunteer next day, but he was a significant part of the story. Around Mara assisted, people was able to trust him, to send him donation, to give to Mara, and he turned over to Mara, and I respect him for that. He didn't just run away with the donation. He did what he's supposed to do. He was very transparent. We have to give respect to him. And then we have to also mention Nika Buddha. He was the main builder from the beginning to the end, and he volunteered his service, I'm telling you. And he also got a channel called Nika_Buddha, and very a significant part of this story. We have to give tribute and props to this young man, Nika Buddha. It's Robbie David. He is the cousin to Brian as well, and he was responsible for dealing with the boundaries, the perimeter wall, and negotiating with the family where the wall would go and the road would go. And so Marwa left him in control of that. And he did a marvelous job in doing that. And he has been a significant part of the story as well. There's also another young man that got injured. I think he got burnt, not here, not at the compound, but elsewhere. His name is Chris Madiba, a very significant part of the early story when he was building the foundation, building the walls to the house. But he got injured, and as a result, he's undergoing treatment and healing at the moment. So I do recognize him. He's been one of those hardworking men involved in this project from the beginning. And there was also Jamaica Uncle. He was there along with the project, providing moral support, physical support, all kind of support to the people them and to the young man them. They all respect him and look up to him. And I have to give props to Jamaica Uncle for being a significant part of this story as well. And then Yamara being the commando, being the man of integrity, being the man that the people them depended on, the people them put their trust in to do the right thing. Mara stood up and he did the right thing. He came through for the people and he made sure that the money was well spent and the house was finished within 3 weeks. In just 3 weeks, my people, a truly phenomenal transformation. Lives changed forever in just 3 weeks. Marwa did it. He built this magnificent mansion you're looking at. It's a 3-bedroom, a massive living room, kitchen, 2 bathroom. It's an amazing dwelling. We also got solar panel with security lights around it. It is a marvelous achievement. Within just 3 weeks, it was done. And they went from this over here, you can see, if you could see my cursor, from this to this on the right. That is transformation, a magnificent transformation. This is an image of the kitchen from inside. It was brilliantly done. It was top world class. This was done at the highest standard. No shortcut was taken. Mara insisted on no corner, as they call it in Kenya. No corner. Everything has to be done by standard. And if it wasn't done right, you have to do it over. And if you run over time, he would be taxing you as well. So you're not going to get no free ride. And Mara always pay fairly. Give them way above market price. So there was no need for no one to complain. And he did it with integrity. And as you can see, my people, this is the house you're looking at now, the transformation that have taken place, that they went from the mud hut to this type of structure here, from dirt floor to tile floor. This is better than many people living around the world right now. This is the transformation. This is the restoration of hope, the dignity that these people deserve. And as you can see, the high level. And all this was made possible through Mara, his team of generous donors, the subscribers, the viewers. They made all this possible. They poured finance into this project. They poured their trust into Mara, and he channeled it, and other people around him was able to benefit from it as well. Other people was able to receive donation to contribute to this project. And this is Grandma's new bedroom. I should have a picture of what Grandma's previous bedroom looked like. I got it. I may bring it up at some stage. But this is what Grandma's bedroom look like now. And this is the transformation. This is the smile on Grandma's face now as she preparing to live her life with dignity. This is the power of transformation, my people. This is how Grandma will be living, and Brian will be living from now on. And as you can see, the standard. And this is not just a home. This is not just brick and mortar. This is a symbol of hope. This is a symbol of possibility. This is what it gives us an idea of what a world can look like if we work together, where we can make dreams become a reality. This is what this is about. Building a foundation that can build a future for our family. Because from now on, grandchildren will always have somewhere to go. This land is a big, massive land. They could build many more homes on this land and live with dignity. And this is Brian, cleaned up, ready to rebuild his life dignity has been restored. I'm saying they did everything for him. New clothes, new bed, new shoes, new everything. And just make him now have a life worth living, a life that can live with dignity. He don't have to resort to stealing and to begging and to looking for handouts. He now is in a position where he can help other people. And that is the greatness of helping someone like this. And it's more importantly, they have enrolled Brian into a boarding school with full scholarship and ongoing support, the ultimate gift of educational opportunity and hope. This is what Brian have now. Education is now available to him. This is him now moving out to go to the boarding school. I am always helping to carry a suitcase because you got to bring all your stuff that you're going to need to maintain yourself in the boarding school. So Brian will be going away with full scholarship and full support. And that is a great part of the story. And he's registered in the school in Kenya. It's a 7-day Adventist school. That is one of the legacy of colonialism, where a lot of the schools are run by the school church system, particularly Seventh-day Adventists. It's a part of the legacy where now they are taking over the cultural continuity of the people. Particularly, they think that the church is better at teaching morals and ethics and so forth like that. So, yes, and these schools are rated as some of the top schools in the country. And that's where Brian will be going. But more can be said about that, about the effects of colonialism on our people. We have to be honest. But it is what it is for now. And Brian needs education. He will get a good education, but it comes with other caveat too. So we're moving right along. So this is Daniel bringing Brian to register him to school to make sure everything is okay. He's the guardian. He'll be ensuring that everything is being paid for, everything is above board, is disciplined. He'll be keeping track of his progress. He'll be visiting him on a regular basis to make sure that everything is going right. As you can see here, bringing Brian going to school. So here we got Brian going to school and Mawa is posing with his suitcase. So yes, this has been an act of pure hope. I'm saying this is more than charity. I'm saying when you lift up one child, you lift up an entire community. When you restore one home, you restore hope itself. This is a transformation from poverty to a future that is bright. I'm saying, and it shows what can be done when we work together as human beings, as an African family, to support each other. And now Brian got a big smile on his face. He got a big future ahead of him, and we have to give respect for that. We have to respect Marwa for taking up this responsibility and transforming the lives of this community. And it is a remarkable story. But we have to look. Me being a sociologist in my own self, amateur sociologist, who look into the deeper issues of things. As a Pan-Africanist, I look into the deeper issues, the deeper causes of things. You have to ask the question, why was Brian living in this position in the first place? What was the condition that left his grandmother and so many children living in such a terrible condition? What was it? Was it by accident that they happened to just be living in this absolute poverty, in this impoverishment? I think we have to look at some of these issues and find out why. And the story of Brian and the condition that he and his grandmother was living in is not unique. It's all across Africa and the Caribbean, aka the Afrobean, all across the Afrobean and Africa and in Central and South America. We see these same or similar conditions of impoverishment, of abject poverty, absolute poverty. And I am saying that this is the bitter legacy of historical injustice that been inflicted upon African people. And we cannot ignore that. We have to bring that. We have to talk about that in our story. As we celebrate these stories, we celebrate the coming together. We celebrate the African family doing something to alleviate the poverty of one family. We have to discuss the fact that these conditions that was created was not by chance. We have to look at the deeper context. We have to talk about the enslavement, which violently ripped communities apart, and also the economies of many African countries and across the Caribbean was torn apart because of enslavement that left our family in a state of underdevelopment and despair and warped. The development of our communities were warped. We can't forget that. We have to talk about the effect that enslavement have had on our people. And then we have to also talk about what colonialism had on our people. Colonialism, where European powers plunder Africa, they plunder Kenya, they suppress the local people, they stifle the growth of Kenya, they kept Kenya backward for many centuries while the world was developing, while industrialization was taking place. We also have to talk about colonialism. The former colonial powers are still controlling the African countries through debt and through dependency and through aid and through all these machinations of international finance, capital, and investment as a means of controlling our people. We have to talk about colonialism, the brutal treatment of African people, the colonial domination of African people. We have to look at it. We have to address it. These are some of the that have left so many millions of people in undeveloped state, in arrested development across Kenya and across Africa. Many parts of Kenya is still underdeveloped, was left behind because Kenya was used to help develop the colonial powers that colonized Kenya and not for the benefit of the Kenyan people. And when they did rise up, when they did decided to stand up for their dignity and their freedom, they were suppressed. They was treated brutally by the colonial powers. And we have to give respect to people like Jomo Kenyatta and many of those Mau Mau who stood up and defended the rights of their people and was able to gain independence. And we couldn't sit back and continue to be controlled by colonial powers. So we see that a lot of the condition that exists across the Caribbean, exists across Africa, is a direct result from this long journey of struggle, fighting against all these historical injustice have left so many of our people trapped in poverty. We have to give tribute to the Mau Mau for resisting, for standing up for the dignity of the Kenyan people and to fight for the Kenyan people to have some type of independence. Now they can build their dreams. But the problem is so great. The damage has been so great that it's going to take many years to transform the lives of all the people of Kenya. But they're on a journey, they're on the move, and we have to support them. So this has a lot of ripple effect. It's not just a home for that one family. It transformed the entire community. Many people benefited from it. Many sent to almost everyone on the project received support from the people around the world who sent down money and all kind of things to help them to build their dreams and transform their community. Everybody, some people got work, some people got YouTube channel that monetize, but it's more than just this one family. It's a story about transforming people. It's a story about moving beyond one family and helping an entire community. And it's a family that now have hope, they have opportunity, they are loved, and they now have a future. And they will be able to help others to do better as well. So as we look at this transformation, look at the marvelous work, as we celebrate Ayamawa and give thanks and congratulations to Ayamawa for transforming the life of Grandma, for putting a smile on Grandma's face. If you look back on the videos of Ayamawa when he first met Grandma, that permanent screw on her face, she had a frown on her face that was unmistakable, a sadness. And now grandma got a smile on her face. Look at that beautiful smile. The dignity that's been restored, the hope that's been restored in the lives of this woman. You can't, it's undeniable. And if you look and see, mama took some time to celebrate, and then they pop champagne and, oh, I think Ridley, never seen, is now down there celebrating with them in champagne, and grandma is right there in the middle enjoying the festivity at Mawa. This is Mawa Mansion in the background, by the way. Is us happy. They celebrating, and just want to say thank you to Ayamawa. I want to thank you for being a person of integrity, where people can believe in you, where people can send money to you and you can use it to transform the lives of this family. You have turned our life into a life worth living. You have given them hope. You have given them dignity. And you have given the community an opportunity to be better. You have shown in that community what one man can do when you got integrity, when you got honesty, how you can rebuild the lives of broken people, broken circumstances, and you have intervened and you have given them hope. And I want to congratulate you, my brother. And I want to congratulate all those people in that community, all those workers, all those volunteers, all those subscribers, all those viewers who have stepped up to support this family. I want to big you up. I want to say thank you. I want to say enough respect to you. And this is an example of African dignity, of Pan-Africanism working together, and all those who are in solidarity with African people, who want to see the African people do better. Despite all the problems that we face, we can take time out to help each other along the way. We can take time out to support the less fortunate, to bring some of our people out of this abject poverty, to give them a taste of what life should be about. This is how all African families should live, with dignity, with decency, with hope, and not just in despair, not just worrying about where the next meal going to come from. And I want to just thank you. Feel so privileged to have been a witness to this story, to see this story transform. And once again, I just want to say thank you, and do subscribe, and I'll be coming forward with more clear thinking with Brother Dulani. Thank you, my family, for being a part of this story with me. Thank you for watching the story. As do share and do comment. Do you think that we can do more of this? Do you think that we can transform more lives like this? And I want to big up, before I go, King Nick down there in St. Elizabeth. He has also built homes for people, but never on this scale. Has built for people in Trenchtown as well. I want to big him up. Even Color Smith has reached out and helped build for people in his community as well, and his family. And I want to big them up for the work that they have done. And even Auntie Dana has built massive house for people and transform lives. So I want to big up everyone who's doing these things, who are touching lives, transforming lives from despair to hope, to give people some type of hope in their life, restore their dignity as an African personality, African character, African man, African woman, African child. I want to thank you so much for all of the effort that y'all have been doing. Leave a comment if you think that we should do more. Leave a comment if you think that these are some of the things that we can do while we still fight for systematic change, because the condition that created this problem is systematic. The plunder of Africa and the Caribbean continue, and the inequality continues, and we have to transform our society in order to eliminate poverty, in order to eliminate homelessness and despair. So thank you once again for listening to Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. Until next time, my people.